Hey guys, Sean Yoga 50. Hope you're having a great weekend. I know I am. It's wrapping up, getting ready for the work week again. And today I wanted to go over some things. We're going to start continuing on with our Not So Perfect Yoga series. We want to talk about grounding today. Maybe you've heard of it. It's either grounding or earthing. It's basically when you get direct contact with the earth. Go walk around barefoot out in the grass or at the beach or wherever. They also say that you can ground standing on concrete because concrete is fairly natural. It's sand and rocks. It's not like the blacktop that has, all sorts of other toxins in it, almost like a rubber within the street. So it's flexible. So it's a lot different. So grounding is anytime you're getting in direct contact with the earth. And supposedly you're connecting within the Earth's electromagnetic field or whatever, and that's helping stabilize your body. And there is some science to back it up. They are finding that it can help with inflammation, high blood pressure, insomnia. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You definitely need to check out earthing and its benefits. So we're going to go over something like that. We're going to focus on grounding today. And it's one of the first chakras, which is the Muladhara chakra, which is down located in the pelvic region. And that chakra is all about grounding yourself and making sure you have a good, firm base mentally in that you are grounded as a person. Oftentimes, most of our problems end up coming because we're not grounded, because we're a little too flighty, a little too spacey. That's if you don't have enough grounding in it. We all need something that brings us back down to earth. But I don't want to say that in such a pragmatic way, like when someone says to you, you need to bring yourself back down to earth. Not that type of thing. It's just for us personally. As yogis, we're really trying to develop ourselves spiritually and physically. And it's important that we focus on these things, especially grounding. And it's great that it's the first chakra. It's going to help us develop a solid practice and a little bit more compassion for ourselves too, and understanding, self-acceptance. That's very important. So before we get started, we're going to cover a couple of basic warm-ups. Get my mat here. All right. Now here's a really cool warm-up that I like. This one I call it the 90-90. I got these from different animal flow type videos, and this one I've been doing for quite a while now. I really enjoy this one. So basically you're going to turn, for me, I'm just going to turn onto my right hip, bend my right leg at a 90 degrees, and then bend my left leg. Now what I want to do is I want to switch to the other side without using my hands and hopefully without lifting my feet. I pretty much want to keep my feet in the same position. Just like that. You'll find this is really good for developing the core and all those little stabilizer muscles too. I think that's one of the things I really like about yoga is you're not just working on the big muscles. How many of us guys, we go to the gym and first thing we do, if we haven't been there in a while, we hit the flat bench, start working on that chest, or you start doing lat pull downs or squats. We focus on just the big muscles that look good quicker. But as you get older, you realize you still got aches and pains, and there's a lot of the stabilizing muscles, a lot of the secondary, even tertiary muscles that we don't pay attention to. And that's where injury comes from. I mean, you can tear your pec muscle if you work it too much, but if you really focus on all the connective tissues and all the secondary muscles, you're going to have less injury, I think, and less pain, less discomfort, and you're going to have more strength throughout. So before we get into the grounding, let's focus on some of these warm-ups. So let's go back and forth. Now, if this is kind of easy for you, you can add a hip thrust into this. Boom. Bang. Don't get dirty. Bang. You just want to bring yourself up. It was brought to me one time. I was watching a video. I forget who it was. But they were saying, everybody should be able to get up off the floor without using their hands. Like you should be able to get up off the floor without climbing up off of yourself. And if you can't, that's really something you want to focus on and think about. Maybe get involved at the gym or get involved in some form of practice. That's why I think yoga is just awesome all around. Develops flexibility, stamina, strength. You can do a lot with this, and it's going to help you develop your body so that you can age gracefully. And, being 51, I really got to focus on aging gracefully. So one more time from this side. Try to keep yourself as upright as possible. Now, I know this might be hard. Now, let's say you start out, man, and you do not have this flexibility. Even if you got to use your hands, at least develop the movement in your hips. At least get your body ready for what's coming. Every now and then, try to hold yourself up if you don't have the core yet. But give these exercises a try. Now, for some of you out there, we were just talking about getting up off the floor quickly. Well, not necessarily quickly, but without the use of your hands. There's different ways you can do that. There's a million different ways to get up off the floor without using your hands. And that in itself is an exercise too. Let me turn to the side more. So you can sit up. And make sure you're not landing on your knees. You don't want to fall and bang on your kneecap. Just relax a little bit. Sit up, turn, drop yourself down with control, and bring yourself back down. You can do the same one we just did from here, and then turning up. Go to the other side. Turn, do the exercise a little bit. And you just get into that motion. Feel it. You want to understand all the different muscles that go into that. And believe it or not, if you haven't been to the gym in a while and you're thinking, I need to get some exercise, just do a couple sets of what we just did there. That's really going to help you. You're going to feel muscles that you haven't felt in a very long time, if ever. Okay, so before we get into this, let's go back to grounding or earthing. One of the coolest things you can do in yoga practice is to get in mountain pose. Don't worry about the upper body right now. Let's just focus on the lower half. Get those toes spread. And my heels are spread apart just a little bit. Big toes are just about touching. And what I want to do is I want to grip the floor with my toes and my heels. I'm going to try to grip with every toe. I'm going to try to feel the floor with every toe. And I'm actually trying to turn my foot, and almost like I was trying to turn my mat. I'm doing that with both feet to grip the floor and become more grounded. And I want to sink my knees just a little bit. You want to set your weight. If you're ever in the martial arts, that's how you increase your power, is by setting your weight, basically grounding yourself and creating a good, stable base. Same thing in yoga, same thing all throughout life. Spread your feet apart a little bit. This might help. And I'm actually trying to turn my toes out, but I'm gripping the floor. And then from here, you're just going to bend those knees, bring them back up, almost like, I don't know what you call this, like 16th squats or something. I don't know. But you want to develop that grounding feeling. Whenever you touch the floor, kind of picture that grounding feeling. Now, as we go, we're going to get into the pranic energy, the web of life that we're connected to. That energy is everywhere, and you want to develop that energy. And one of the ways you can develop that energy is through imagination, and we're going to get further into this later on. I think it's very important because that you understand and visualize how your energy flows. Whether it's correct or not, just picture energy within your body. However you do that, it's going to work for you. Yogis say that prana, or pranic energy, follows your thoughts. You may have heard yogis talking about breathing into an injury. If you have a bad knee, breathe into that knee. And you're like, well, how the fudge do I do that? But it's just all visual. I picture inhaling, and as I inhale, I'm pulling pranic energy from the sun, from the moon, from the trees, from the ground, from everything around me. I'm picturing taking in that energy, and that energy is focused right on my knee for healing. And that's how you would breathe into that energy, or that injury rather, and move that energy around your body just by thinking about it. I know it sounds all weird and esoteric, but there's a lot of facts to back this stuff up. And I really urge people to do the research. If this stuff interests you, you should be glued to that internet, man. You should be reading as much as you can, watching as many videos as possible. Learn. Get as much knowledge as you can. So as we were talking about with grounding in Tadasana, we were grounded in Tadasana. I want to visualize and feel that energy coming up through the earth. Every time I inhale, I feel that energy coming up. And when I exhale, I blast all the bad stuff out of me, whether it's disease or anger or sadness, whatever it is, send it out of your body. Inhale the good, exhale the bad. What do they say? Inhale the good shit, exhale the bullshit. Same idea. Now let's say we're doing another pose. Let's say we're doing warrior one. I get into my warrior stance. Same thing. I want to picture the energy. Now I can picture the energy coming into my back heel because that's where I'm getting my maximum stretch. And that energy flows up and out of your fingertips. And that's, you got to picture that energy just moving. Oftentimes, I'll also picture the energy starting from my center. If you've ever been in the martial arts, they say that your hara, which is about 2 inches below your navel, that's the center of your universe. We are all individuals, all connected in the same web of life, and we all have this center within us. And you can picture your energy growing there and then exploding outside of the body, perfectly through the feet, through the fingers, through the head, through every part of your body. Picture that energy leaving your body and taking all the bad crap with it. Focus on that energy and picture it coming in. You always want to be picturing the cycle of energy. You're taking in energy from the world around you, from nature, and you want to be pushing out all the bad stuff. Like I said, thought, or rather prana, follows thought. So whatever you think is going to happen will happen. You want to picture that energy flowing through you. So again, say you were doing triangle pose. I want to picture that energy one of two ways. Like we just did warrior, where I was picturing the energy coming up through and then out of the fingertips. That's one way. You can also picture your energy originating in your hara, your center, and blasting out through your feet, up and out through your fingers, through your head, through every part of your body. Just picture that energy. And a lot of times that's going to help you get into the now of your class or of your practice session. So if we're going to do, say, triangle pose, got our arms out already, I'm picturing that energy just blasting out. I'm inhaling it and I'm sending it out evenly throughout my entire body. And keep that going. Keep your mind focused on your energy and where your energy is going. For those of us that always feel drained of energy, well, no one can take your energy unless you give it to them. So if you're angry at somebody, you're giving them your energy. If you're jealous of somebody, you're giving them your energy. If you're envious, you're giving energy away. You got to stop giving your energy away and start building it and storing it on your own. And you're going to do that through yoga and breathing practices. And also how you talk to yourself. You really got to slow down. You got to stop being envious and jealous and angry at people. You got to learn to let that crap go. It's not going to serve you at all in your life now or in your future. So really focus on just accepting yourself, accepting where you are, and just moving with that. Just be here and now. That's it. We're not even worried about tomorrow yet. Let's just focus on being here and now. All right, guys, let's get started. Let's do a sun salutation. I'm going to add some things to this one. But I also want you to take your time and really focus on that energy. So I'm going to try not to gab so much, but we're going to try to focus on that energy. Okay, let's start at the top of our mat. Good Tadasana. I'm already gripping the floor because I want to ground and I want to feel that energy from the earth come up through my body. A couple deep breaths. Hastasana. Uttanasana. Now picture your grounding. Where are you? What's touching the floor? Be grounded. Right foot back to lunge. take your right hand next to your left foot. Now take your left hand and you're going to open up, twist it to your left. Down. Inhale deep, and on your exhale, step back to plank. Down to chaturanga. Tops of your feet. Upward facing dog. Inhale deep. Exhale to downward. Step forward, right foot to lunge. Good. Take your time. Get into this pose. Relax a little. Left hand down next to your right foot. You're going to open up your right hand to the right, twisting. Down. Inhale, then you're going to exhale and step forward. Flat back. Uttanasana. Up to Hastasana. Exhale to mountain pose. Run through these a couple times whenever you do your poses. Run through them so that you can get that grounded feeling. Okay, guys, another practice we're going to use for this grounding or earthing, we're going to do what's called an earth salutation. We've done sun salutation, a Surya Namaskar. Now we're going to do an earth salutation. So we're going to start at the top of our mat. Take a couple breaths. Grip the floor with your feet. Now we're going to step back, and you want to go into balasana, or child's pose. Kneel down, and then you're going to lean forward. Sliding your hands out. Then we're going to come up to downward facing dog. So plant your toes and then push back. Same thing, keep gripping the earth. Grip with your hands, your toes, your feet. Feel that energy. Now we're going to go to candlestick pose. So you're going to bring your feet in close. You're going to crouch down. Good balance. Try to get your thighs parallel to the floor. This is called candlestick. I'm trying to keep my hands pressed together. Try to go up on your knees a little bit, or up and bring your heels up more. Use those feet. Keep that back as straight as possible. This is candlestick pose. Then from here, back to candlestick, because I just fell. And then you're going to stand up from here. Great. Almost there. So we did balasana, downward facing dog, candlestick pose, and then stood up to Tadasana. Now the next pose we're going to work on, I'll face you guys, is going to be tree pose. Again, think about grounding. Get your balance. Good. Focus on that floor foot. Focus on that energy coming up through. Focus on being grounded to the earth, rooted to the earth. You can keep your hands in prayer, or if you want to extend, bring them up above you. Again, picture that energy. Right now, I'm picturing that energy coming from my hara and just blasting out of all my limbs. Couple breaths. And then down. Relax. Shake it out a little. Let's switch feet. to Vrksasana, or tree pose. Now, the only way you can do tree pose incorrectly is if you put your foot on your knee. It's the only way you can do this one incorrectly. If you don't have the flexibility to keep it up higher on your thigh, then you bring it down below the knee. So there's really only two spots you really want to keep it. Above the knee, below the knee, or even if you have to, put some training wheels on, touch your heel to your ankle, and put your toes down. And that too would be a form of Vrksasana, or tree pose. Now, as you go on, you might want to lift that foot up and start working on your balance. A little higher, just don't touch that knee. And then if you need to, you can bring that up even higher on your thigh. Try to keep this knee opening up wide. Don't let it come in. Keep it wide. Although if you have slippery shorts on, your feet are just going to slide right off of them. Then you can put your hands in prayer position, or you can extend the branches of that tree. And I'm just focusing on my floor foot right now. Getting that energy from the earth. Staying grounded. Good. Shake it out a little bit. You'll definitely feel that in your ankle and your calf. Definitely great for building strength, flexibility, and endurance. Okay, now we're going to do a balancing pose. So from tree, we're going to move forward. We're going to touch the floor with both hands and keep that back leg up as straight as possible. Try to spread your toes if you can too. Again, I'm working on grounding. So I want to keep this floor foot pulling energy from the earth. That energy is coming up one foot and going straight out my right foot. If you can, try to bring your hands up. Test your balance. Whoop, Jesus. Not so perfect yoga. All right, let's try from the other side, the other foot. Same thing, I want to raise that foot up, and then I'm going to lean forward. Try to do it with control. Good. Keep those toes spread on both feet. Work on that grounding. Let your head hang, let that pull your neck, let it stretch it out a little bit. Release some of that tension. My right foot definitely doesn't have the balance my left foot does. Good, and then come up from there. Whew. This is all part of the earth salutation. Good. Now you want to spread your feet apart, nice and wide. And we're going to just keep your knees lifted. Remember what that means? Keep your knees basically flexed, like you're trying to hyperextend your legs. Keep your quads activated, means they're flexed right now. So I'm keeping my knees straight. And I'm going to lean forward while still looking you. I'm hinging at the hips. Put my hands down between my toes. I try to line my toes up with my fingertips for alignment purposes, or just something to focus on. Then you're going to let yourself hang. Just try to hang from your waist. Loosen up a little bit. And when you're ready to come up, head first, look up, get a flat back, go up on your fingertips if you have to, and then from here, activate your hips and come straight up. Try not to just rise right up out of that. That's when you're going to pull muscles. You're going to get injuries, so you got to be careful. Then we're going to go back down to our knees, to a tabletop. And from here, you want to take your right hand and you're going to extend it forward, and then extend your left leg back. Look straight at the wall ahead of you. Keep that back leg pulling up. You should feel that right in your lower back on that side. We're going to switch to the other side. then down, nice and easy. Then finish in child's pose or balasana. Set your butt down as far as you can to your heels. Stretch your hands out and let your forehead rest on the floor for a few breaths. Good, let's do it again. Back to downward facing dog. Gripping that floor. Keep your lower belly sucked in. Keep your knees activated and lifted. Keep those elbows straight, shoulders away from your ears. Then we're going to go back to candlestick pose. So you're going to just crouch down. I try not just to, I try to activate my feet. So I'm trying to, see how I'm bringing my feet straighter up. It's going to be tougher. Bring your hands above your head. Good candlestick pose. And from here, we're going to stand. Inhale, then exhale. That brings you right to a standing position. Good. And we're going to go back to Vrksasana or tree pose. Remember, there's only one wrong way to do it, and that's putting your foot on your knee. So either go below, above, or you can do the training wheel version. Nothing wrong with that. Put your toe on the floor with your heel against your ankle and eventually try to lift your toes and work on that balance. Keeping that knee open, which keeps our hips open. Keep this knee coming back. Keep your hips forward because your tendency is going to be to let this knee fold from the side. It's going to be to let this knee fold in and you're going to want to bend over. Still got to try to keep good alignment. And then you're going to put your foot down and switch. Vrksasana, or tree pose. Whoa. See, I can cheat. I got my ceiling right here. See, right there. Good balance. Keep that hip open. Keep that knee coming back. Hips forward. Whoops. Grounding. Good. Now let's go into that cool balancing pose we were doing. I like to start with my knee out straight. And I just hook it through. Find the floor with my hands with control. And I try to use, if I can use just my fingertips, that's when you're starting to work on developing that strength so that hopefully you won't need your hands at some point. Up slowly. Switch to the other side. Bring that knee up, forward, find the floor. Use your fingertips if you can. Develop that strength, that balance. And then up. Feet spread wide. Hinge at the hips. Activate those knees, quads. Looking forward, lean down. Hands to the floor. You can get your head down there, even better. If you want to, you can take your hands and you push forward, trying to get your head to go through. Sit in between your feet. Keep those shoulders away from your ears. Keep your neck elongated. When you come up, look up first, flat back. Activate your hips and your back. Make sure you use those to get up, otherwise we're going to run into all sorts of injury. And then down to Balasana. Then up to a kneeling position. Good. And this is all about grounding, staying grounded to the earth. And as we were talking about, we'll get into some of the chakras and making sure you're balancing your chakras correctly. This is a great workout for just balancing your Muladhara chakra, which is your first of your chakras, located in the pelvic region, this area, and that keeps us grounded, as it should. Your hips are really where all your balance and your strength and your agility comes from. Having good, strong hips. If you find that you're getting older and you're having trouble twisting, picking things up, getting up from a seated position on the floor, that's because you really need to develop the strength and the flexibility in your hips. A lot of people like to work on their butt exercises and only focusing on that main muscle, the butt. But there's all sorts of muscles under there, all these little different fingers that reach out from your lower spine through, and they twist in through your pelvis and they connect to your femur and whatnot. These are all the muscles that you have to really focus on. And by doing this type of exercise from the beginning, the 90-90, switching side to side, practicing getting up off the floor without using your hands, and then just yoga in general. These are things that are going to keep those strong, keep you aging gracefully. Well, hope you guys enjoyed today. I know I did. I'm going to keep going. You guys should do the same. It's up to you. But, really focus on pushing yourself physically. I believe if you're in this for the spiritual aspect of it, you need to have a physical practice. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a pro yogi. You have to be an Olympic swimmer. Maybe you can't move. Maybe there's something holding you back or an injury. Focus on your breathing and your intention setting. That's still a physical practice. Breathing is still a physical practice. So you can practice your pranayama techniques. You can practice all different types of breathing techniques. And these are things that originally that's what yogis did. Yoga was, back in the day, just the act of sitting and breathing in meditation. And then they started finding that their legs were falling asleep, that things were starting to ache, and they couldn't sit as long as they had wanted to. So they started developing exercises to stretch out their muscles and make sitting for long periods of time much more comfortable. So originally, yoga was just all about sitting, breathing, meditating. And then in came the asana, or the physical practices, some centuries later, actually. And that's what we now see in the West here as yoga. It's all the physical exercises. But there's a lot more to this yoga. And if you're into it for the spirituality part of it, or that aspect, really focus on this. Get your poses down. Keep yourself in the now. Focus on your cues. Toes spread, lower belly sucked in, chin forward. Keep your breathing going. I know last week we did an Ujjayi breath. And we're going to do another one today called Kumbhaka Kama, I want to say. And basically, it's like the 3-part breath. If you saw my video on the 3-part breath, we would inhale from your pelvic region to your navel for 2 seconds. And then from your navel to your heart center for 2 more. And then from your heart center up for the final. So you're taking breath in 1, 2, 3 sets. Then this is a little easier. This we're just going to let it all out. And you let it out entirely. Now the 3-part breath, inhale the same way, but then you exhale in reverse. So you would exhale the top half, then the middle with a pause, and then the lower half, and then you would start all over again. So between each set, make sure you're pausing for at least 1 to 2 seconds. So you can breathe in the lower, and then exhale. And do about 5 or 6 rounds of this. And you can keep going from there. And you'll find, too, that's when you want to do your breathing exercises, at the end of your asana practice. Do them at the end before you go into meditation. It's a great way to calm the mind and set you up for a great meditative experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed today. Again, it's Sean Yoga 50. This is the Not So Perfect Yoga program. And today we focused on pranic energy, earthing or grounding ourselves, and how those interrelate. We're going to be covering those a lot more in depth later on. Right now, as a beginner series, I just kind of want you guys to get your feet wet and understand all kind of the different things that go into yoga before I start getting so weird and deep on you and you start clicking off the channel because I'm getting crazy. But I want you guys to understand exactly what this is, how you can utilize it to help yourself, help your family, your loved ones. This is something that's going to be with you for a long time. Stick to the practice and benefits will come. It's that simple. Just stick to your practice and benefits will come. Again, Sean Yoga 50. This is the Not So Perfect Yoga program. Thanks, guys. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share. We're just starting out as a channel, and I feel just almost starting to gain momentum. Help me out. Let's get this going. Comment in the sections below if you got questions, comments, anything. I'll get back to you. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.